Okay, so welcome to the Severed section of the We Need a Rose podcast, and we are going to talk briefly about the first episode of season 2 of Severance. And there's no real format to this. We are just going to be talking out of our holes on this one. And for me, what an opening shot of season 2. I love the music. It was like the evolution of the Jaws shot, you know, with the tracking forward and the camera pulling thing.
The dolly zoom.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the dolly zoom. That's the one. And then
when
I was like...
when he's running. That's sort where he's running, and it does it like instantly, and then it disappears. Yeah. It's really clever.
I bet Steven Spielberg was looking at it and going, "Oh yeah!"
It's really clever how they did that.
If Steven Spielberg has ever made that noise in his life, and then I was like, "Who are you? Who are you people? Why is the cousin from Arrested Development in it? Who are these other two new people?" And then Milkshake Man, he just walks in. Been a minute. Oh, like just every word this guy says sounds threatening, despite his smiley appearance.
Yeah, he creeps the fuck out of me. He's just so good at being like surface level nice, but you know he can kill you in a second.
Quiet, it's menace.
It's his his physical presence that he has over everybody else as well, because he's like built, and everybody else like isn't. Obviously, you know, Adam Scott's quite a skinny guy, and so it's like that physical presence he has over everybody. Yeah,
and I just like how they like trying to sort of spin Cobel's story in the first episode. They're like, oh yeah, she developed an erotic obsession with you. I was like, what? Where did that come from? And then of course it blew my mind. It was like, oh, Mark is the only person who wanted to return. I was like,
yeah, that's sus.
Yeah,
and
that's also, very sus.
Do you guys believe it's 5 months later? Because I mean, I don't believe a single thing that Milkshake is saying.
Yeah,
I think we all believe Lumin are lying to us, to them. Sorry.
I want to know who Miss Huang is.
Yeah. Yes. Why do we have a child?
Yeah.
Why is she a child? What a line.
I have a really weird theory on her, but I don't think it's going to be correct.
Oh, well, say it.
Tell us. This is the whole
point.
Because I don't know if there's like a little cloning thing going on with Miss Casey.
Oh, wow.
Maybe.
No.
Maybe a daughter?
Never know.
Or a daughter of Miss Casey.
I think that's the obvious route. I don't think it's their daughter. It might be her niece or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one's going to give a fuck if it's their niece. It's got to be a daughter or Miss Casey, isn't it?
It's a clone of her. Because I found the line fascinating because they asked, like, why are you a child? And she says, because it's when I was born. That is just such an interesting line. Like, and everything they write is intentional. So I'm just like,
do we think she's severed?
No.
Ooh, good call.
I don't know.
Would they sever a child? Or was she born? Or was she born into this? I think
she was born into Lumen.
Yeah.
But as part of the whole, is it 5 months? I'm not sure that's as relevant as the fact that when everyone else returns, it's as it started like right after the end of season 1. So no one else has been involved into what happened with Mark.
Well, because in episode 1 we haven't seen yet what happened on the outside. Episode 1 is pretty much. I forget now, even though it's only a week or so ago.
They're told that they're famous, don't they? Like, Milkshake says that they're famous on the outside now.
And I think that's a very photoshopped photo. That's sus.
Well, someone pointed out on one of the forum forums, that picture of them is the exact same picture that was taken in the first episode of them in the office. And it has been photoshopped into that headline image.
Okay.
Yeah.
How smart people online.
I just need to start again when Milkshake says, enjoy your balloons. I was like, oh, you smug. Well, as Irv says in season 1, you smug motherfucker. I was like, oh. I actually thought Miss Huang was going to be like the new Milkshake at that point. I think she could be like the new Milkshake.
I'm not your friend, Mark. I'm your boss.
Oh.
It's just that cold stare.
Oh, man, that hurts.
But here's one thing I haven't explained yet and haven't really gone into is why does Mark's severed self remember everything or anything?
No,
because we're not sure.
Think about it. He just ends up in a weird spot, and his sister, who maybe would his sister have told him anything? And like, obviously, he screams to her, she's still alive. But then, why would he return? I think
that's the whole question of the series. I think, like, why would any of them return?
I love when he's really fucking with my song in the thing. He's like, I made 3 new friends. The way he says it back to her, that was basically like, fuck you.
The little girl, the young actress's eyes, where she's got that little bloodshot in her eye. I just think it looks really like it just adds that little bit of like creepiness to her a bit, you know.
I think that's unintentional, but that's pretty
it's
cool.
really cool though. Yeah.
Also, I really want to know, what did he do in the kitchenette?
He didn't.
He
do anything.
didn't.
He didn't.
That was just like a clever way of like distracting them. So he
I was
could talk
really
to the
solid,
board.
honestly.
But yeah.
Well, I just love how devious he like. He gets a note and he sets up the other team, the other Mark, Mark W. When Mark W thinks he's in charge, and I was just like, oh yeah.
I really can't wait to see more of them, honestly.
I hate change. So I was just like, who the fuck are these people?
I feel like that's what Mark S was like. He was just like, yeah. Well, he doesn't want to be there. He just misses his friends, is what he says. Did he say that in there? David, you watched it today.
I can't remember that, but
it gives emphasis that he wants
but
to
then
be
they're back
with them.
They're back.
I think he has a purpose. He purposely had a plan to do something with the original team. And I'm really surprised with the redhead. I forget what her name is, but I'm surprised.
Or Helena.
I'm really surprised that they brought her back as in terms of like the character admitting that she'll be.
Well, Jose,
I've got a theory for that.
It's got to be the Audi,
they switched they switched them. It's the Audi.
Yeah,
it's got to be the Audi.
Helly has been replaced by Helena.
And Jose, this is a theory on internet. When she comes down in the lift, it doesn't ring. When it does, when all the rest of them go in there, you get that bing. There's no bing noise when she gets in the lift.
Gets in the lift or out the lift?
I forget now.
Well, like what stood out to me is like because they all have basically resumed their starting positions of where they were last, and she just runs out, and that's not where she was last time we saw her as an innie.
She was screaming at the crowd.
Yeah. So she wouldn't have been running forward.
She lies when I ask her about
that
what
was
she
my
was
biggest
doing.
red flag is the lie about
the lie.
Yeah, I noticed that, but I figured she was just trying to cover her butt because she didn't want to get in trouble for being.
But why wouldn't you
different.
want to know? Why wouldn't you just admit to that?
I don't think Helly wouldn't care.
Yeah. Just because she's like one of the main people promoting what Lumen's up to and the whole Severed program and everything like that. Just doesn't mean that your innie would think that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see.
But I mean, a night gardener. Bullshit.
Like
right?
Irv picking up on that immediately. I like that.
Yeah.
And then isn't it her who says, I'm just looking at my notes, she says, it's not our world out there.
No, that's Irv that says that.
Irv says that, right? That's it, yeah.
But she's the one who says we're not the same, innie and outies. And the way she says that is also, that tipped me off.
Oh, and also there was someone pointed out where she has trouble turning on the computer.
Yeah.
Which if you've done it every day, you would know how to turn it on. So there's all these little things. And people were just like the way she was acting was different to the way Helly was acting. So everyone was just on that it's Helen and not Helly train.
I almost think it's like an obvious twist that they're playing with
that's,
there.
That's the thing. I've got a wild card theory. Because I think like Helly being Helena is like the obvious one, and they're trying to put us off the scent. So my wild card theory is that Irv has been reintegrated.
Who's Irv?
John Turturro.
Oh, John Turturro. Okay.
Come on, Harry.
Like, because you barely see him.
Come on, Daniel.
He disappears for 2 sections of the episode for like a significant amount of time. And I don't know, like this isn't my wildcard theory. I might not completely be right, but I have a feeling like Irv may have been reintegrated. That is like my wildcard theory I'm throwing
what we want
to
know is what happens to them what happened to them when they went outside? Because we don't know how much time has passed between the end of the first season and then when they've come back. How many days? It looks just like 1 day or 2 days at most. When
for an innie, that's
the
case. But
and I was like, does Irv want to die? It gets super dark.
No, I think he just wants to leave.
No, but
that's
if you leave,
dying. That's dying for an innie.
Oh, you're right, for the innie.
Yeah, like if you, that's the thing. But that's why I don't know. Like, Audi Irv is clearly investigating Lumen for some reason. Like that's what we saw at the end of season 1.
And he loves Motorhead.
Yeah, and he's trying to get a message through to Innie Irv by painting the elevator constantly.
Yeah, the black.
The black elevator on the way to the training floor. So that's why there's something going on with Irv, and so like he's the character to watch.
Here's one thing that I think of that kind of makes that a little muffled or muddled. Dylan has to convince Irv to stay, and there's like a moment of like, is he into Irv? Is it?
I
Am
didn't
I the
think
only
that.
one that picked
no,
that up?
I didn't think that.
No, I think it's just being friends.
Yeah,
like,
just
Yeah, I was
friendly,
just
man.
like,
Okay.
he's just
It
being
just
a good
seemed-
friend. I love that moment. I love Dylan.
I'd
in
like
this
that moment, but I
episode.
wasn't sure if it was romantic or not. You know,
No.
I mean,
no,
I'm
because
just,
he's still, he's literally like a day or two still in real time broken
Yeah.
up about Bert, Christopher
Yeah.
Walken's character.
no. I'm saying, is Dylan into Irv?
No, I
No,
think
Dylan's married with kids.
Does he doesn't
Well, his
know that?
outie
His
is.
innie doesn't know that.
His he did know that because
Well, I mean,
No.
he
finds
doesn't
out.
know who the other person is. His
Oh
life
no.
is inside.
One thing we forgot to mention, which is one of the probably the reason it took this many years for it to come out, the claymation orientation video.
The
Oh, that was
claymation.
good.
Oh my
That was really
god!
good.
he finally got his claymation project up. Yeah, I think there's so many clues in that video. Like the how it starts, Lumen is listening. That's like a double meaning and
Yeah.
meaning. And then yes, I've been saying this like since the episode came out. The pineapples are sus. There's something sussy about the pineapples because who Bob served pineapples and the way their hands were tied behind their backs. And it's been proven in the Lexington letter that Lumen has used water torture in the past. So
Wow.
I think like that's what it is. That like it's gonna like be like some sort of water torture, like they're waterboarding them.
You think it's going to be like this season's version of the break room?
Yeah.
And also, I love that it was referred to as the macrodata uprising. It's just like, but the mirror room in that sequence that looks fucking terrifying as well.
That's also hinting to something. Like
Yeah, the mirrors.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, you've got so many ways you can take this, and they know the audiences are analysing every detail, which they didn't really have to plan for in season one. They just did it in a vacuum. But season two,
but still,
they now
there's
know.
so many Easter eggs in season one. Like,
Oh no, no, like I'm not saying it wasn't bad. Like it was superbly written, but now they have to try and confound expectation because I think we didn't know where any of it was going. Now we know the world a little bit better, not even close. But so we need to try and guess. They want to, do they want us to guess where the show goes and be like, oh yeah, we got it. Oh, me smart, and everyone's just guessed the plot, the twists already, or do they want to go so far against it that we're like, oh well, actually. Are we going to be unhappy what it isn't what everyone thinks? Remember, we got that with a lot of seasons of Game of Thrones where there was when there's a show where there's so many theories, if there's such big consensus behind it being a certain theory and then it's not, and the fandom doesn't like it. I mean, hopefully we don't get it with Severance. I've got complete faith in Ben Stiller, Dan Erickson, and the whole team here.
Yeah.
This is absolutely the best thing on TV at the minute. Absolutely.
I'm going to give Ben Stiller and his team a big compliment. I think this is the way that they're doing this is like a better version of Lost. Like they're making it weird, like really weird, but it makes sense when you get to the end. And so I think
you
that's
don't
where
feel
we're
like they're
at.
making it up as they go along.
I
I
think they actually planned it through. Even with season one, I'm sure they were thinking, okay, if there's a season two, let's have some stuff to plant those seeds. And I really think that they know where they're going.
One other thing I mentioned from that scene with Dylan and Irv is when Irv says to him, "I'm your favourite perk," and it's such a sweet moment between the two. And I think that's where you perhaps misinterpreted it as like, oh, is it a romantic thing? But
Marie's starting to affect me too much.
I think it's just where they become friends because Dylan was always he was like the company guy in season one, and then it's finding out that he's married with kids and he's seeing his kids. That from that moment on, it's like the switch is flipped in him, and Dylan's like, oh, "Fuck these guys," yeah, and he's like, absolutely bring them down. So I mean, as the episode comes to the end, the gang's all back and happy to be there, with the obvious plan that they're going to try and break Miss Casey out, but they don't know where she is. They don't know if she's alive, because like the thing is, if she's Mark's wife, how does it work? How can it work if the severed person is dead? That means she can't be dead. That means whatever happened to her,
they
faked it,
Yeah.
and she was taken. And I mean, because you do see that bit when she goes into this just dark room and stands there. So what, they're just keeping her in the dark like the substance in a side room?
Well,
the testing area.
If you remember that, she said that one day where she did the full assessment, it was really nice because outside of that, she will only have 30 minutes of consciousness with her patients. So there is something going on outside for her outie. So
Insane.
I think there's definitely something going on there, and obviously she can't be physically assaulted because her body would show the results. But yeah, there's something definitely really interesting going on with her Audi.
You know how we were saying we don't know how much time's passed. The only thing that suggests to me that the amount, like there has been an amount of time that has passed, is Milchick's annoyance at it still being Mrs. Cobel on his.
Oh yeah,
that is a good point.
On his screen.
Yeah.
Because if it was just like 2 days, he wouldn't be that annoyed.
Yeah.
Good.
Mm-hmm. Good catch.
That is good, but I still don't think it's 5 months.
And it's going to be interesting to see what Boss Milchick's like, and whether like he's going to kind of be the same kind of character. Because again, Milchick's not severed, which is insane. Like you've got people who aren't severed working on the severed floor.
Hey, here's something I just found. Keanu Reeves is the voice in the
building.
Luminous listening video
Of the building, yeah.
I didn't catch that. Holy shit!
I didn't catch that either. Yeah, that's cool.
And Jose, I would warn you to not put in for anything Severance on the internet.
Yeah, especially if you haven't seen episode 2.
Because so as we record this, episode 2 has just come out today, and I was going to plan and watch it after this podcast, but then I had someone DM me on Instagram who I'd been chatting with about the show, who'd literally watched it within an hour of it coming out, and was just like, "Oh, these are my theories," and I was like, "Fortunately, I didn't see it." But I was like, "Okay, I need a total social media ban until I've caught up on it." So now, every Friday, I'm going to have to watch Severance first thing, just so no one ruins it for me, even though I didn't mean to. And then, like, Twitter was just a wash. I liked one theory post last week, people. One, and then now it's Severance spoilers everywhere. I don't want to block the word. I want to celebrate and, like, talk about it after the fact. But, like...
So, who's seen the second episode, then?
I have not.
Neil.
I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
I have one question for you guys that I think would be great for the spoiler section.
This is the spoiler section, Jose.
No, for like when we film the rest of it to look back on.
Breaking the fourth wall.
With Miss Casey, do you think she's in a good space or a bad space with her Audi? Like, is she okay? Does she know what she did when?
Well, kind of like how Helly's Audie's kind of a villain, and
exactly.
Well, Helen is kind of a villain, and
I don't think Miss Casey has an Elsie.
Same. No. I don't think, because
it's going to be something different.
This up, like, what do you guys think Cold Harbor is?
And because we see Cold Harbor on the screen, and we see Miss
Casey's face.
Yeah.
In the last shot.
When was that?
The last shot.
It was like that flashy thing, like
that
flashes
flashy
up
thing, and like because you see her face, and it's definitely linked to what Mark is doing because the stats line up. So it's linked to macro data refinement.
Oh.
And then I did like a little vocabulary search because I was just like, okay, what does macro data refinement actually mean? And like refinement, changing data, like personalities. So I think they're rewriting personalities in Cold Harbor.
Because we still don't know what their job is, do we? So
we don't know what macro data refinement stands for. And if you think, like, if you break down the words, like, because they're definitely affecting some people on the testing floor. Like, that's how I, like, interpreted that link of the two screens.
I like it.
Wow.
Like, I might be completely wrong. This is why.
So how does that connect to Miss Casey?
Because you see her face. Jose, you need to pay attention to every single frame.
Yes, I'm being Neil right
now. This isn't a film like Presents, Jose. You need to pay attention.
Yes. I definitely realized that. If you pay attention, you catch way more.
Well, that brings us to the end of our first part of our Severance spoiler special. Time has no meaning here. We're in the void, people.
Our innings.
It's like working for Lumin.
Yeah.
Our innings have been here recording this podcast for the last 4 years. What is sunlight, David? What is sunlight? See you next time, folks.